again, it's me, your boy Richie Rich. Well, you know, before we begin, we always want to make sure that we listen to a particular thing. It's called the intro. Alright, cool. Glad that you guys listened to the intro. Again, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. There's another button that I heard that you can hit that allows you to get alerts on your phone when we send out a new video. So we need for you guys to do that as well. Comment. Also, we have an email address to help you out so that we can communicate back and forth as well. Alright, so we're looking at the Samsung double oven electric range. Alright, so we're going to look at the front panel of this particular range. You have the left side, the left switches, and then you have the right switches, and then you have the control board in the middle. Alright, so on the left side, if I wanted to turn on the left front element, which is a 7-inch burner that gives me about 1800 watts. Alright, I would turn that nozzle to the left side. If I wanted to bridge the left front and the middle portion of the element, I would turn it to the right side. Now I'm getting about 2600 watts. Alright, so it's a bridge between the front and the middle element, so you want to make sure that you can turn it on as well. It allows you to cook a lot more efficiently, a lot more faster, and it's giving a lot more wattage and power. And then of course you also have the left rear, which is also a 7-inch burner. Alright, so from there we will go from the indicator light. Alright, so right between the switches that's on the left hand side, you have a hot surface light, and then on the right side you have an indicator light. So what happens with this particular unit, when the oven is on and it's noticed that there's a sensor that's inside the element, right? It's called a limiter. So if that temperature is above 150 degrees, that indicator light will let you know that the surface of the element is hot. Alright? So that's one light that's on there as well. So when it reduces the temperature just from you not using it, and it's just sitting, once it gets below 150 degrees, then that indicator light goes out. But you still want to keep in mind, even though that light is not on, it can still be a little bit warm. So you don't want to really get too comfortable with it, that you put something down on there, or accidentally put your elbow there or your hand there, or touch something. You can still get a little bit of burn on there as well. So you just want to be careful with that. Alright, so let's go to the other side of it, where we're talking about the switches on the right front and the right rear. You have the right front, which is a triple element. Alright, the middle of it is 6 inches. You have a 9-inch and a 12-inch element. So you can turn on each individual element, and that allows you to cook a lot more efficiently. So if you have all three of them on, it's a 3,000 watt element. So again, if you have a bigger pot, depending on the pot that you're using, that's your bigger or your power burner if you want to use that. Alright, so again, you can still use the middle, which is a 6-inch. You can use the 9-inch, that's between the 6 and the 9, another 3-inch diameter. And then you have a 12-inch diameter for the element for bigger stuff if you want to use that as well. One of the things that they recommend that you do though, if you're gonna use a pot, the pot cannot be more than a half to an inch bigger than the element. So those of you like my family that like using those big old pots, but it looks like rolling a boat, you can't put that on here. Mom, dad, auntie, all y'all that like cooking, you know what I'm saying? Get different pots, get a different stove. Gas is probably better. But just for this cooking, for this video, again, you want to make sure that it's not bigger than an inch. Alright? And that's it. So let's focus on the control panel or the touchpad. Alright, so this is where you're able to press these buttons, get your bake and your rolling. Alright, so this is where the good food comes in. Alright, so let's look at it from the left side, which is the upper oven. It's also an upper/single oven, so that's what it's located on the display. So on the display, you have your off/clear button. Alright, so if you press a particular cycle or a particular setting and you want to turn it off, you hit the off button. But your off button doubles as a lock button as well. So you can actually lock the controls, lock the oven, so that if you have kids that like pressing on buttons, then that won't happen. Alright, so that would help as well. You also have your convection bake, your convection roast, you have a broiler. Of course, course, you have your start button. When you select it, you hit your 350 or hit your bake when you roll and start. That activates the oven. You also have a timer 1, which is an on and off button. You have a cooking time button. You have a delay start button, and it also have a light button to turn on the upper oven as well. And you have a warmer center. So on the cooktop, you have the left side, which is the left front, the left rear. On the right side, you have a right front and you have a right rear. Then in the middle, you have the keep warm element. So that element doesn't get red hot. It's almost like using a crock pot, right? So you just sit it in there, you turn it on, and it gets warm. It doesn't get hot at all, but it just keeps the food warm and nice if you want to do something like that. And then of course you have a warmer drawer. Typically customers use the warmer drawer just to store pots and pans, but on this particular one you have a warmer drawer that does get hot, so that you really keep whatever you need, like bread and stuff like that, keep that warm as well. So it's a lot going on with this oven. So that's one side of it. So let's focus on the right side that deals with the lower oven, or the lower oven / single oven, same thing. On this side you have your bake convection, and then you have a traditional bake where the fan is not on. So we're gonna go into the difference between convection and baking at the same time as well. We're gonna do all that, but I don't want to get ahead of this video, but I'm just gonna take my time. We also have the off and on button. It doesn't have a roll button in the lower oven. You have your timer 2, you have your cook time, you have your delay start, you have your slow cook, you have dehydrated, you have bread proof. This one also has the start button that you can start and select. You have your light button. You also have the clock setting to set the clock on the display. You also have 2 functions, which is the self-clean and you have the steam clean. There's a difference between the standard self-cleaning and the steam cleaning on this one. So that is actually what we just discussed, the whole entire panel on this particular element or arrangement that you can purchase. Alright, so you have different features. What other features you might have? Again, this is one thing that I do notice. Alright? When a customer purchases a new stove, you know what we don't do? Get new pots. So you have old pots and a new stove. With the electric ranges, alright, so there's times we're going to show you exactly from the owner's manual, the picture that we actually giving you this information off of. You can pause the video so that you can actually see exactly what we're discussing at this time, alright? So the pots on your electric range have to be flush. It has to be flat, alright? So if your pots are warped, or there's space in between the element and the pot, it's not going to cook efficiently. Alright? So this is why at times they recommend, if you get a new stove, as far as electric, it's best to get new pots if your pots are just not adequate. Alright? So that's a good investment to make, you know, getting a new stove and getting new pots. You have different pots that conduct heat a lot better than others. You have aluminum, that is pretty good. You have copper, that's pretty good. Stainless steel, you know, it's okay, it's not bad. One of the things that they're recommending that you don't do is get glass pots, because the glass pots scratch the glass top. Alright, so you want to be careful with that as well. So as you look at this information, all this stuff is located in the owner's manual, but you know what, forget the owner's manual, listen to us, because we're going out here to make sure that you're getting all the information that you need so that you can properly use your appliance efficiently as far as cooking and stuff like that. Alright, so we'll show you how to do that. And one test they do, I forgot to mention, one test they do attempt to show you how to do in the owner's manual is you can use a ruler and put it on the bottom of the pot just to make sure that it's sitting flush and there's no bent or warpness or anything like that as well. So if warpness is a word. Is warpness a word? I don't know, but we'll look it up later, I'll tell you. Either way, so now we're going to focus on convection baking. Alright, so your convection bake is nothing but heat with a fan that's circulating the heat. That's convection. So when you're using your oven, you can use a convection bake. This is supposed to allow your food to cook a lot more faster because the air is circulating the heat. As it circulates the heat, it allows it to heat up a lot more faster. So you do have that option to select the convection bake in the upper or the lower oven. Alright? And so a couple notes, a couple things that I've seen, it says, of course when you're using the convection bake, you want to make sure that the door is closed. So as you open the door, it shuts off the convection fan. Alright? But at the same time, that heating element is constantly staying on. So you can actually burn out your heating element while leaving the door open. So you want to make sure that you leave the door closed so it's operating properly and that it's cycling on and off like it should, because you don't want it to stay on consistently, because that will short out your heating element. Alright? You also have your convection roast. Oh my god. So that's broiling. So that's the difference. The difference is the convection roast is good for cooking large, tender cuts of meat on the oven. I like goat. Can we put a whole goat in there? I'm not a chef, as you can see, but I eat a lot of good food. But either way, convection broil or convection roast, you can put that in there. It turns the fan on, it heats it up as it circulates and allows it to cook a lot more efficiently and a lot more faster than your standard broil that you will probably use. Alright, so we've talked about the switches, we've talked about the bake function, so now we're going to talk about adjusting your oven temperature. Alright, so I do go to customers' homes, and there's times when a customer might say, hey, Richie Rich, hey, my stove is not heating up properly. And I'm like, alright, cool. Depending on what the issue is, this is something that you can do that is inside your owner's manual. Right? So as you do this in your owner's manual, there are certain buttons that you can actually press. Again, we're going to show this on the video that we're shooting now so that you'll be able to pause it, you can see it, you can look at it, so that you'll be able to adjust your oven temperature yourself. So the way that the oven works is when you set it to 350, the temperature gets higher than the 350 and it gets lower. Alright, so as the temperature cycles on and off. So if I put on 350, it gets 375. If I put on 350, it gets below that, it might get 335. So what we normally do is get the medium temperature or the average temperature of the high temperature and the low temperature. And that should give us the average temperature on inside of the oven. Alright, so that's how we make our adjustment, and we do that about 3 times just to, in the process of elimination, to make sure that the temperature inside the oven is either wrong or we need to make an adjustment. So you can make this adjustment. You'll just have to do that with the video. Like I said, you can pause it and look at it, and then be able to help you so that you'll be able to see that the best way you can. Alright, so just keep that in mind. You have your 12-hour energy saving. You can turn that on, how to turn it on, all that is going to be on it as well. So I just want to make sure that you have that information in part of the video. You can see that as well. Alright, so next you have your slow cook. Alright, so your slow cook feature cooks food more slower at lower temperatures. Alright, the extended cooking times allow better distribution of flavors in your recipes, stuff like that. Alright, so you can always hit the slow cook button, hit start. One of the notes that they're saying that you should do, man, I need to give me some more. Am I losing my voice out here? Alright, so one of the things that they're saying that you should do, the best rack position. So you have rack positions. The better the rack position, the better your cooking style is going to be, or the better your food is going to come out. So using one rack, and place the rack in position 1 or 2 for the best results when you're doing the slow cooking. Alright, so you also have dehydrated cooking. Dehydrated cooking dries food and removes moisture. Alright, so there's times when you can put fruits in there, lemon, pineapple, juices, sprinkling. It just sucks all the juices out of it. So you can dehydrate your food as well. They have different settings that you can do. You don't have to preheat the oven to set this. You're just gonna have to set the dehydrated cycle and just set the temperature, then hit start. Alright, you also have your bread proof. Your bread proofing function automatically provides the optimum temperature for the bread proof process. Therefore, it does not have a temperature adjustment. Alright, and the best rack setting or rack position you should use is number 3. So we're going to show you guys a little bit about that as well. so that you'll be able to know the rack positions, because that's key on this oven so that you can maximize the oven and how it cooks so that your food can come out a lot more efficiently. Alright, is the rack positions, and we're going to show you that as well. Again, you have the keep warm function. The keep warm function will beep when the cooked food warmer is served after 3 hours. You also want to make sure that you should use the food is not supposed to be cold. So if the food is cold, then of course you wouldn't use the keep warm function. That is only just to keep food warm. It only does it after 3 hours in the show. Alright, so now you have the oven rack positions. Alright, so when you're doing the oven rack positions, if you're just doing the single oven, right, you have the highest rack position is 7 and the lowest is 1. So of course that means you have 7 rack positions that you can choose from. So to get the best results, there's a table. We're going to show you that picture as well so that you'll be able to choose depending on what it is that you're cooking. If you're broiling hamburgers, they're suggesting that you use rack position number 7. If you're using angel food cake, I don't know who eats angel food cake. I haven't had that in so long. Either way, small cakes, small roasts, angel food cakes, position 2. If you're just using a single oven, is the best rack position you should use. If you're using like pizza, now we're talking pizza. You put it on position number 1 to get the best results to eat pizza. I eat my pizza without cheese. I'm gonna just let that sit for a second. Yes, it's still pizza without cheese. Either way, I get bacon and chicken with it, so it's still good. So now if you're using the oven rack position, which is the twin mode, that's where you put the partition in to separate the 2 ovens. Alright, so your 7 becomes now your B position and your A position. So for the upper oven, you have only 2 positions, which is position A and position B. And below that, you have positions for the lower oven, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you're using frozen pies for the upper oven, you'll use position A. For the lower oven, you'll use position 2. So it all depends on what it is that you're cooking. You want to make sure that you maximize the oven, maximize the usage, understand how it works, what it is that you need to do to make sure that you are actually using the oven efficiently. Alright, so again, we got these different positions that you can use to help maximize your oven. On this oven, it also have Sabbath mode. Yeah, Sabbath mode for Jewish Sabbath or holidays. This one is a little bit different. Normally on traditional ovens, you probably have to press a couple buttons and then you can get into the Sabbath mode. This one is saying that you gotta press bake, right? And then once you determine the temperature that you want, you hit start. Once the temperature reach 175 degrees, then you'll press the bake and the number 1 button at the same time. Then you'll be able to see SAB, and that will let you know that it's in the Sabbath mode. Alright? So once it's in the Sabbath mode, of course, then you know, if that's your Jewish religion, if that's your faith or your religion or your belief. In order to deactivate it, of course, you will have to hit the bake and the 1 button again, and that will deactivate the Sabbath mode. Alright, so cool. And of course, you got the time cook. Again, you set it for a particular time. Once it's finished cooking, it'll beep and let you know that it's done. Alright, so that's traditional. That's standard for just about every store that you go out here and purchase. You have your delay start. That's not on every stove. The delay start, of course, if I wanted to start 2 hours from now, then you hit the delay start, set the temperature, set the time, boom, the delay start, it comes on even. Alright, so let's focus on the cleaning aspect of this appliance. Alright, so there's 2 different cleaning. You have the self-cleaning, then you have the steam cleaning. We're going to focus on the self-cleaning. Alright, one of the things that I do instruct my customers, I do ask the question, have you ever self-cleaned before? Because most of the time, most people haven't. Your oven gets up to 1,000 degrees. That's hot. Yeah, that's hot. 1,000 degrees. So whatever is inside the oven is going to burn and turn into ashes, and you can wipe the inside portion of the oven. You want to make sure you do it on a day when it's not too hot. You You want to do it on when it's like fall, when it's a nice weather outside, when it's not too cold, not too hot. You want to have some fans circulating around. If you have your microwave on, you want to turn that fan on. If you have windows close by, open the windows as well, because it might send off your smoke detectors as well, because it's gonna get pretty smoky depending on how much stuff is spilled on the cavity of the inside of the oven. It's up to, depending on how smoky it gets. So you want to keep that in mind. You do have different options. You have 3 hours, 5 hours, or 2 hours. The default setting is 3 hours. So imagine you cooking for 1,000 degrees for 2 hours, 3 hours, or even 5 hours, bro. That is hot. Alright, so that's why when you turn on the self-clean, the actual door closes. So as the door closes, it allows you not to open the door. So once the oven has been cooled down for like an hour or so and that temperature has dropped, then you're able to open back the door. Alright, a couple things that they recommend that you don't do. One, the door gasket around the door or around the cavity of the oven, do not clean that off. Right? When you're doing the self-cleaning, you don't want to use anything abrasive. Alright, it's fiberglass. Alright, so when you're rubbing against it, you can rip it up, you can tear it apart, depending on what chemicals that you will use. So you just want to be careful with that. Alright, when you're doing the self-clean, make sure the oven light is off. It's little stuff that you want to do. Also, you want to remove the racks. What happens is, if you don't remove the racks can warp themselves to the cavity of the oven. They can create rust on the racks. So when you're trying to pull the racks out, they roll it in, you can't get them out. That's it, you're done. Alright, so just keep that in mind as well. So that's about it as far as the self-cleaning that I can think of, that I've known that I read on this unit. You just want to be careful. And the primary function of self-cleaning is to clean the cavity or the inside of the oven, not to clean the door. So you might want to wipe the door, wipe the glass off. You can clean that off as well. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind when you're doing the actual self-clean. So now you have the steam clean. That's different. So now you want to add a little bit of water. If you look at the bottom portion of the oven, there's an indicator or a dent inside the cavity of the oven, which is the lower panel, and it's going to tell you steam clean. Alright, so one thing you have to do, there's a certain amount of water that you're going to have to put in, and you're going to have to put that amount of water in. Nothing more, nothing less. It says you have to put in 10 ounces or 300 milliliters of water. Alright, once you put that in, you'll hit the steam clean function, then you'll hit start, and then it'll steam clean. Alright, nothing more, nothing less. Alright, you do have that option. You have to put the exact amount of water in there. Alright, because it produces the best results. Alright, so just keep that in mind. Steam clean is for light cleaning. So if you got a heavy duty oven that's extremely dirty from just you cooking, macaroni and cheese, and meat is at the bottom of it, it's burnt, you wouldn't use steam clean. You use the traditional self-cleaning option, because that will help. Alright, so you don't want to use any detergent or anything abrasive when you're trying to clean it. You can probably just use Dawn detergent and some water. That's fine. Alright, that's cool, that's good, that's adequate enough. You don't have to do that. Alright, so you just want to be careful with that. So one of the most common issues with this, as we break down this video, is the glass top being clean. Alright, so that's one of the most common issues. One of the things that they suggest that you do before you actually use it is you clean it with a cleaner. With that, we can show you a couple cleaners that we recommend that you can use. You want to make sure that you clean that top before you use it and after you use it. Alright, there's certain cleaners that you will have to use. You can't just use soap and water and wipe it off. Like, that's not going to work. Alright, you have specific cleaners to clean glass tops. Alright, so that's one thing that you can do. Again, be careful with your pots and sliding it back and forth as well. That scratches the glass. Again, it's glass. It's not like you can once you scratch, you can unscratch it. You can clean it up and be gone. It's glass, so it's extremely sensitive. So you want to make sure that you clean it with the cleaner. You do have cleaners that have like a razor blade that comes with it as well. So you can use that. Use it as what is recommended when you purchase. Everything has a label behind it, so you just want to read the label and make sure that you inform yourself on what it is that you need to do. Alright, so that will help tremendously in cleaning. Alright, so it'll show you, it'll teach you how to read it, how to clean it. We'll show you the picture and everything else that you need to do so that you'll be able to use the appliance more effectively. Woo! That's a long video for some features and some functions. So this is why it's important that you read the owner's manual before you actually go ahead and use this appliance. Again, we recommend getting better pots. If your pots are good, then fine, you don't need new pots. But you want to make sure that you use the proper pots to make sure that you get the best results. Alright, make sure that they flush, make sure they're not warped. Again, aluminum is better, copper is good, glass is not. Alright, so when you go into the owner's manual, check that stuff out. Alright, self-cleaning, again, be aware of what takes place when you self-clean. Alright, you might want to YouTube a couple self-cleaning videos that people might put online, stuff like that. Look it up. Look in the owner's manual, know what to expect, different stuff like that, know what to clean, what take place, and all that. Alright, so this video was long enough. I'm not going to keep rambling no more. I'm good, I'm out. And again, it's me, your boy Richie Rich. Always subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, at Consumer Appliance Report, you help me, I help you, we help each other. And I'm sure I'm hearing some type of music because we always add music to our video. Man, I like this joint. Peace.